But I want to start talking to you about where we're going in the future, which is, as you all know that know me, this is where my headspace is. I want to remind you all, I think we've said it, but that we cover a very broad surface area. Owners, GCs, subs, enterprise mid-market SMB, U.S., multiple international markets. And that while some of these areas are still need some optimization more than others, we are going to continue to improve on those to deliver efficient growth, which is my new buzzword, obviously. All of this work that Paul shared has laid the foundation to where we're going to go in the future. So first I'm going to talk a little bit about the broad surface area and why it's so important. And then that will drive our mission of connecting everybody in construction on a global platform, which feeds our flywheel. So flywheel explanation yet again. Our unlimited user model allows our customers to bring on everybody onto the platform, not only their employees. Those folks become the collaborators become potential customers, bring on more folks. All of those folks are generating a tremendous amount of data, and data is the key word here. This data is valuable to our customers. We reflect it back to them in the form of insights, but it also opens up unique opportunities for Procore that I want to walk you through today. So I'm going to start with payments. The problem in the industry is this. Slow payments create significant stress for general contractors and specialty contractors on their balance sheet. It's a highly complex world when it comes to payments. So the industry itself is very analog in this process. So you're thinking about it, it's 120 days from the time the work is done to the time an invoice gets paid, and you're moving big dollars, right? So all of this is complicated, and since it's done in an analog way, it's slow. So solving the problem means that we can speed up the payment process, which really does help our customers relieve the stress on their balance sheet. And also will help them take on more work. It's important to understand that construction volume that's run through businesses is how they make money. So taking on more work matters. And I think we're in a very unique position to solve for this because we do have a huge audience on our platform today who have a high level of trust in us and who need to be paid faster. Plus, I've talked to you about this before, but we have been solving these very complex workflows around financials for years, from estimating and bidding and contracts and change orders and invoices and lien waivers and all of the things that we've been investing in is really important. But it gets us to this last step, which is payments. So I'm sure if you all saw the keynote, you heard me announce Procore Pay, obviously something I'm very excited about, something we've been talking about for some time. To be clear, what that means actually is that this is actually monetizing the GC to subcontractor payment flow. So we think there's a huge opportunity here to monetize this. But what we think is even more exciting, and I really do want to up-level this, is that it opens up the possibilities for other opportunities for Procore around monetizing things like early pay or creating risk profiles that we can use in other forms of the business. So I want to let you know that Procore Pay is coming in 2023. It will be the later half of the year. It will not drive material revenue to Procore in 2023, but it will be launched and we'll be learning. So another way that we can help with our customers' cash-strapped balance sheets is through material financing. So if you had listened to our Q2 earnings call, you heard us talk a lot about this new program that we're launching. It's one of the subcontractors' biggest challenges. And let me tell you why. I always use this example of the Salesforce Tower in San Francisco, but, I always say to people like, who do you think financed that building? And everyone's like, well, I don't know, maybe JP Morgan or I don't know, somebody like that. And I'm like, no, the subcontractor, the plumber who shows up on day one with 800 toilets is actually using their balance sheet to buy those toilets, and they're not going to get paid for 120 days. So the ability for our subcontractors to be able to help their balance sheet through material financing is huge. The other challenge that subcontractors face is they can only take on as much work as their balance sheet will allow them to be bonded for. So if we can help them bolster their balance sheet, they can take on more work. And again, that's where they make all their money. So we are really uniquely positioned for this because we have a very large audience of cash-strapped subcontractors on our platform today, not only our customers, but also our collaborators. We also have a deep domain knowledge around lien rights. And if anybody ever wants to, get really, really, over in the weeds with lien rights, I'd love to talk to you about it. It is very esoteric, very, very complicated, and we have the expertise on staff that knows how this process works and how to optimize it. We also have access to all this proprietary data on not only how companies perform, but their payment history. And so we think that we're able to put together favorable rates for subs because we know how they perform. We know how they show up. We know what their quality score is. We know what their safety score is. We know how they change order. We know how they show up on the schedule. We know more about these subcontractors than anyone else. And I'll tell you that so far, I'm really excited. The feedback has been really, really positive from the subcontractors who participated in our early program. So another huge cost for construction is insurance. So biggest problem that customers have with insurance is that it's super cumbersome and it's complicated and it's expensive and it's analog, right? So customers are overburdened by insurance. And the way I explain it is this. If you're running a regular business, you may buy business insurance. But in construction, not only do you have to have business insurance, every project you have to have one or more, in a lot of cases more, insurance policies for that project and that has to be renewed annually, okay? And so remember, contractors and subcontractors run lots of projects. This is a huge overhead. And by the way, because everyone's financially obligated to purchase all these policies, they spend a ton of time just filling out the application process. It's all done by hand. It's the insurance industry. It's very much in the dark ages. And the other thing that's really interesting is that insurers don't have access to the risk data that Procore does. Insurers have no idea where risk lies. Finance, I was mentioning, that we have a ton of cash-strapped subs on our platform today. And we have so many, not only paying customers that are cash-strapped, but collaborators on the platform. We also have this deep domain knowledge around lien waivers. Lien waivers is very esoteric. It's very hard to understand, very, very complicated. But we have all this deep domain knowledge around it, and so we can leverage that. Plus, we know how subcontractors perform and the payment history that they've had on previous jobs. So we know more about them than anybody else. So we believe that we can provide favorable rates to them. So we've been getting feedback from our customers so far, and this is the part I'm excited about. It has been very positive. Our customers are saying this is really helping them with their biggest challenge, one of their biggest challenges, which is their cash-strapped balance sheets. But another area where they're really struggling, which is an area where we believe we can help them, is the cost of insurance and the ability for them to procure insurance is really, really complicated. It's cumbersome. It's intensive. They have people that are dedicated to doing this. So customers are not only overburdened by the overly expensive cost of insurance, but on top of that, they're already cash-strapped. So this is a really big issue for them. And by the way, insurance is measured in percentage points on construction jobs, not on basis points. We have, you've heard 2 to 3 to 5, some cases 10% of a construction project will go just to insurance. And what's interesting about that is when insurance it's not just regular insurance like you and I would buy for a regular business. They have to buy that, but they also have to buy project-specific insurance. Everybody on the job has got to have one, and in most cases, multiple policies per project. It's really important to understand that most general contractors run a ton of projects, and specialty contractors even more. So this is a really, really cumbersome process that's done by hand, extremely analog today. The other thing is that insurers have no idea where risk lies. So it doesn't matter if you're the highest risk or the lowest risk profile. They have no idea. But we have access to data that allows us to know and how to put these risk profiles together. And the cost of insurance just makes everything worse because it adds to the problem on their balance sheet as well as just driving up the cost of overall construction. So we believe that this represents a massive opportunity to provide the construction industry with an alternative. And so we are uniquely positioned on the insurance front to leverage our proprietary data on how they perform, on the quality and safety and all of the things that we know about them to enable them to be put into a risk profile and offer them better rates. Plus, the concept of the time that's spent to apply for all of these individual policies is analog, takes a ton of time. When they're on the Procore platform, we can automate the filling out of those applications because the data is already in our platform. And when we tell this to our customers, they're like, wow, that is going to change the way we work. Also, we can capture them at their time of need. So in our bidding tool, when a subcontractor gets awarded a bid, they can be caught at that moment in a pop-up in Procore that says, hey, I'm pretty certain you're going to need some workers' comp insurance for this job, or you're going to need some, some other form of insurance during this job. We capture them at the time of need, which is a huge advantage for us. It also drives product adoption, so it's a virtuous circle. If our customers are going to participate in the insurance program, they need to be running the Procore platform in order to us to have the data to be able to provide them with their better rates as well as filling out their applications faster. All right, so let me remind you that none of this would be made possible without our connected platform. We're able to provide an amazing connection point between owners, GCs, and specialty contractors. And I'll tell you that this connected strategy creates a huge opportunity for Procore. Clearly, I'm fired up about this. This is really an exciting future of Procore. I also want to point out that the original slide I came into is what we do for a living every single day, which is building our platform and servicing that large surface area. That fuels all of this. So we are not going to let up on that because our mission is to connect everyone in construction on a global platform. So maybe just a quick intro for those of you that I haven't had a chance to meet yet. I've been here almost 3 years. I came right at the beginning of the pandemic. I feel really thankful to Tui and Paul and everyone who invited me along this journey. It's really, really awesome. My quick background on me, my family business growing up was construction. My dad was a general contractor who built cell phone towers in the 80s and 90s. And so a lot of my youth was out on a job site building a cell phone tower back in the day. Now, of course, after doing that as a young person, I ran away from that industry completely, and I've now spent about 22 years in tech. Oh, cool. That's good. That's helpful. Now I can go through the slides. Sorry. Cool. Moving. Got it.
So yeah, after doing construction as a child, mostly high school, college age, I spent a lot of years in technology. I was the head of product at a couple companies you might know of, Shutterstock, Optimizely, Patreon. And one of the things that attracted me so much to Procore was the fact that it was this multi-sided marketplace. That's something that I was really, really interested in. So when I met Tui and Paul, I looked at this and said, oh my gosh, this is so cool. There's all these different stakeholders that have to interact. And so what I want to do today as the head of product is explain to all of you how important connected is to this entire strategy. And I want to get into the weeds of how connected works. So Procore spent years attracting owners, specialty, and general contractors onto the platform. A couple stats that I like to keep in the back of my head. One that's really interesting, for every project that's launched on Procore, dozens and dozens of collaborators are invited. And today we have over 1 million projects and growing fast. The average of how many people are invited per project is not that interesting because at the high end, you could have a really complex hospital or a bridge and have hundreds and hundreds of collaborators. Or at the low end, you could have a small construction project that only has 10 or 15 collaborators. But the point is, every single project on Procore keeps inviting what are effectively going to be net new customers at some point in the journey. So when we talk about having 14,000 paying customers, that's great, but we have hundreds of thousands of potential paying customers already in Procore today who have a Procore account, who have experienced the brand at one point when there was a construction project going on. So what it's really about is, and one other point that's really interesting, a lot of our net new customers were former collaborators, which is another really interesting point. So one of the ways we add value to all these people who have a Procore account is we give them this free public-facing profile that helps them market themselves. That's the addition of this Procore Construction Network. This network already exists inside of Procore. People have accounts in Procore, and they have to collaborate with one another. What the Procore Construction Network is the public-facing version of that. You can think about this like a LinkedIn for construction. This is where we want to help people find a great project team. So we want to help folks, we want to help subcontractors get more work, and we want to help owners and general contractors build a great project team. So that's some of the impetus behind this Procore Construction Network that's about a year old now and still in beta. What am I doing wrong here? Sorry, team. This thing might be toast. Apologies. It's just going backwards now. Yeah. Thank you. Got it. Okay. Cool. Okay, so the next thing I want to explain, I want to use this slide that Tui did to talk about how each project is really complex. Sorry, folks, all the text is wrong on here, too. Apologies for this. Okay, so there. Great. We're back on. Okay, this is matching this. Thanks for your patience. So each construction project that runs through Procore, these are unique relationships. These relationships are contractual. So I want to differentiate between the connected platform that we're building and something like a Facebook or a Slack. It's not that. In that relationship right there, the owner can't talk to that mechanical contractor. If the owner were to talk to the mechanical contractor directly, they would be taking on all the risk of whatever it is that they told that mechanical contractor to go do. The owner in this example talks to the general contractor, and if the general contractor agrees, then they will then relay that message to somebody else. So when we talk about how Procore works as a connected platform, our technology is super hard to copy because we have to understand at any given moment in a project what the contractual relationships are between each member of the project so that we can figure out who can communicate with who. This is why RFIs and submittals work the way they do. We're basing this entire connected platform on all of these complex relationships. Another way to think about the opportunity of this connected platform that we're building, today we have, again, about 1 million projects growing on Procore. 5% of those projects have both the owner and the general contractor paying for something from Procore. And about 10% of those projects have the specialty contractor and the general contractor paying for Procore. So you can think about the more and more projects we get into the system, the more and more opportunities we have to sell unique value to each one of these stakeholder groups. By the way, this is also how our efficiency play works. So Paul was up here showing you our cost to acquire metrics. Well, the more and more we get folks into their own accounts, and the more we show them value very quickly, the higher propensity they're going to have to buy one of our products further down the road. But I also want to talk about how our platform is designed to capture this. So this is the construction value chain. In each construction project, there is a single set of documents, document specifications, And all different stakeholders on that project need to access those documents. Now, each stakeholder here has their own unique value, though, right? So I'll give you a really good example. Everybody here has to access these drawings on a construction project, but guess what? Everybody has their own budget, and they're not really interested in sharing that budget with the other stakeholder. And so, for example, you can get everyone to collaborate around a drawing, but you could sell each stakeholder construction financials, because construction financials is going to represent their own private budget for their own business. That's one example of how there's collaborative moments in construction, and then there's unique value you create for each stakeholder. So we spent time building products that provide that value. So if you go back to what Paul showed a little bit earlier, okay, for an owner, they're going to care most about project financials, bidding, analytics dashboards to see how things are going in construction. Here, general contractors are obviously going to care a lot about project management, quality and safety, invoicing, and then specialty, and Will's going to come up here in a minute. Specialty contractors, it's that workforce, it's planning, it's estimating, and all of those products. So there are parts of Procore that are connected, where everybody needs to collaborate and be on the same page, and there are parts of Procore that are unique and create unique value for each different stakeholder. There's a bit more nuance I want to share with all of you to help you understand how our product works. There are actually a lot of products inside of Procore that both create value for one party, and then there's a separate value in that same product for another. For example, a drawing. There's a master set of drawings that might be for the entire project, but then a subcontractor might take that drawing and do their own markup on it that they're not going to share back with the general contractor. They're going to create their own version of that drawing with their own markup and share it with their team. Similar to schedule. There can be a master schedule for the entire project, but then different folks on that project might have their own schedule for their body of work. These are examples where we can take one of these products we've built and we can sell it to multiple stakeholders. So my single source of truth as a general contractor might not be the single source of truth for a specialty contractor in that example. Cool. That's a little bit about how Connected works and how our product platform leverages Connected. Now, I want to define for you what our construction flywheel is at a lower elevation. The definition of a network effect is an interaction between two or more parties where value is created on both sides. Construction has a bunch of natural network effects that just exist in it. And we have products for each of these. So I'm going to go through those 4 network effects so that we all understand them. Number 1, we just explained how collaborators are invited into construction to work together. We actually can see construction get more efficient as more collaborators are invited to a project. It's one of my favorite things to talk to customers about. There is a correlation between the time to close an RFI and the number of collaborators you've invited into the product. What that means is our customers are incentivized to save money on their construction project to invite others into the project. There's a positive correlation there. Their construction project gets more efficient, they invite more people into the platform. That's one really interesting network effect. Number 2, invoicing. We continue to innovate on behalf of general contractors who are going to be paying subcontractors. And now, with Procore Pay, we're going to create value on both sides of that interaction. So it's going to be easier to get paid for subcontractors. And it's going to be easier to pay for general contractors. Again, here's a two-sided network effect where value is created on both sides. Another product that we've had for a very long time, and we continue to innovate on it, we just launched Bidding 2.0, and we talked about it in the keynote today. This is our bidding tool. This is another really important network effect that lives organically in construction. GCs and owners want to find a great project team during the bid process. And those subcontractors and general contractors who want to find new work, they're also getting value from that. So there's another interaction within construction that drives value on both sides. The last one I want to talk about is how people collaborate in design. When a number of stakeholders are collaborating around a set of drawings or specifications, they're going to get their questions answered more quickly. So they're incentivized to come into the project. So these are 2 of the very organic network effects that just exist inside of the world of construction. And these are products that we have inside of the Procore platform that are designed to enhance these. Okay. I'm going to go away from technical diagrams about network effects, and I'm just going to tell you a story so I can bring it to life. And I'm using one stakeholder, but I can tell you a lot of different stories for different stakeholders. Today, we're just going to choose the subcontractor. The reason we chose this story is because we think the cost to acquire in this segment should get a lot better over time. We should get a lot more efficient. But this story is about John. John works at a concrete subcontractor. The beginning of this story with John starts with losing a bid. John probably bids 30, 40 projects a month. And so he loses some, he wins some. He probably wins 30, 40% of them. So pretty normal human curiosity, right? You lost a bid and you start to do a Google search and you're like, who did I lose that bid to? I want you to keep in mind that John probably spends a lot of time creating all these bids. So it's a heavy lift. He doesn't win that many. Also, John probably knows most of the people that he's going to get a bid from because he chases the work down himself. And this is the life of a specialty contractor. So in this case, John does this Google search to figure out who he lost to, and it's industrial concrete. It's like, who's this? And what is this network thing? So John's never heard of Procore, has never heard of any of this, and John sees this page and goes, this is pretty cool. I bet if I had one of these pages, I would get more work too. And so John's going to click this button up here and sign up for this Procore Construction Network. This is a really important moment when John starts to sign up for the Procore Construction Network. In this moment, we're going to start to pre-qualify this specialty contractor. And this is really valuable for John, and it's really valuable for Procore and the connected business model. Now, what's valuable about it for John? Well, today, remember, John's doing 30, 40 bids a month, and every single time he does those bids, he's got to fill out a new pre-qualification questionnaire. These things can be like 200, 250 questions. They're a lot of work. And each company has their own special sauce that they ask them slightly different questions. So what we do in Procore with the Procore Construction Network is we get all the basics. And this way, every single time John responds to a bid, all that pre-qualification data is already filled out. So that saves him a ton of time on those 30 to 40 bids a month. So this is also really exciting for Procore, obviously, too, because what we get from John, we get a lot of information about John's business. We understand projects John's worked on, trades that John's certified for. This gives us all this rich, interesting information that we could later use for material financing, or we could use to show John other offers that we have at Procore. So it's a win-win. Also, we can give John some kind of badge on this profile, right, that says, like, there's a general sense of Procore pre-qualified here, and this is something we're working on right now in our product strategy. Cool. First thing John notices after he signs up and pre-qualifies, there's a free bid board. This bid board is really cool. So today, John's managing all his new bids in spreadsheets. But when John signs up for the Procore Construction Network, he gets this cool bid board. He's like, oh, this is sweet. It's free. I can upload all my bids in here. I can import them from other tools. This is really exciting. It's free value that John gets for signing up. But Procore, we get to understand the entire book of business that John is looking at. So we see a bunch of projects, some of which might be in Procore, some of which might not be in Procore, which is really rich, interesting information that helps drive this flywheel inside of our connected platform. Cool. This is a magic moment for John. This is really cool. John gets a bid from a stranger. Most of John's career, he's been chasing down bids from companies he knows. If you've ever been on a job site, you'll see a specialty contractor like go to the trailer and be like, hey, what are you doing? What's your next project? What they're doing is they're hunting down leads. But from this Procore Construction Network, John, in this case, gets a highly targeted lead that's really specific to what John's great at and the trades John is great at. You can see how cool this is. I think at this point, John's like, this thing works. I get new work from this network. So we've proven some value there, and we've got that flywheel going. The first thing you got to do after you get a bid is you need to do a takeoff. That's another piece of free value. We're going to try freemium and free trial, but today we actually have a takeoff tool that you can try out. If any of you have seen a takeoff, it's pretty tedious. And we've done something really exciting. We started to automate takeoff with computer vision. Tui, I forgot my map wheel. But if you've ever seen a takeoff, you take a drawing and you put it on a table and you use a map wheel. You count all the cubic feet of everything, especially if you're a concrete subcontractor like this. So instead of spending hours and hours, counting cubic feet on a drawing, and then maybe using a pencil and writing it in the bottom right-hand corner of the drawing before you then go try to copy that into Excel, we use computer vision here for John, and we just look at the drawing and we count up all the square feet, and we give him something in just a few minutes. So in just a few minutes, he gets the first draft of the takeoff. This is really powerful. You can imagine how exciting this is for a future customer. And all this so far, he hasn't had to do anything. But what happens right after you do a takeoff, it's time to do an estimate. And a lot of people do takeoff in one area and then upload it to their estimating software. There's a lot of human error in that process. And when there's human error in your takeoff, well, your bid's going to be way off, and you might lose a lot of margin on that project. So in this moment now, John was a free customer, didn't know about B4, didn't know about Procore, signed up for the Procore Construction Network, became a free customer, one of our free accounts, got a bid. Now we've got a paying customer. So we've just taken John from someone who didn't know about the brand at all to a paying customer. It's really exciting. You can see how much more efficient Procore is going to get in this market as we bring these things to life. Cool. So another thing that's really exciting, John here won a major bid with Procore. Guess what we know right in this moment of need? This is the moment where material financing gets really exciting. So at this moment, John got $3 million of concrete that John needs to go buy because he won the bid. It's really exciting. So what we can do is we can say, hey, John, do you want to put all that capital up front for that? Or would you like to try out material financing? Right in the moment of need. This is that point that you can really wow a customer and there's so much more that John could do with that capital and reinvest it in scaling the business. He wasn't putting it out for all this concrete right now. So this is another magic moment that we show John that gets him excited. And we reach out to our partners at Levelset and we send this email that's handcrafted to the exact amount of materials for that bid that was just won. So you can imagine, we're already doing this a little bit today, by the way. We're experimenting with this via email campaigns, and it's getting good reactions. Okay. John won the work. John got material financing from Procore. Now John's starting on the project. So John goes onto the job site. He opens up his mobile phone. He looks at this account. As soon as he walks onto the job site, Procore Connect, this is another way we connect everybody in a single platform, automatically shares the drawing into John's account. Now John can see the work that he has to do and see the drawing. And what we're going to do is you can get the drawing for free as a viewer inside of this account that John has, the same one he's been using for a while. But if John wants to use this for shop drawings and mark it up and share it with his team, well, that's another great opportunity to go from a free product to something that John is paying for. So here's another great upsell moment. John gets the drawing for free in a viewer, but then if John wants to do his own markup and share this with his own team, that's the upsell moment. So now we've got John to buy both estimating, and John is also buying his own version of drawings, which are called shop drawings. That's the version of drawings that we use in subcontracting. Cool. Guess what happens next? A few months later, it's time to get paid for that job. That same account that we started in the beginning of this journey, that's also the account where John gets paid from. So this is why we did that work with Goldman to make sure that we could back these accounts. And this same account becomes the place where John is going to get new work from bids. He's going to do estimates. He's going to get shared drawings. And now it's the account where John gets paid from as well. And you can see us experimenting here with early pay in this rendition. All right. We, from that bid board, remember that bid board a few chapters ago in the story, we know how much work John's taken on because of the volume of bids, which means we can also figure out the size of the workforce, which means we can also target really well for labor, one of our new products. And so we're able to send a nice warm lead over to the sales team and say, hey, we figured out that John probably has about 75 laborers, really good market fit for our workforce management product. And we're able to get John into the next product, which is managing the workforce for this concrete trade. All right, I love this story because there's so many opportunities here to unlock this. This is the power of connected. This is the power of getting everybody on a single platform. And so what we've done is we took somebody who was, didn't even know about Procore. We got them to sign up for a free account. We got them to try out Takeoff, purchase estimating, get material financing, win a bid, and now they get paid in this account. So you can see how central to the lives of specialty contractors these accounts become as we unlock all this value.